foot went to go readjust, and it just took the whole wire out of the headset. But anyway, we're good.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Welcome to Juice's Arthropods presents Unearthed, our live podcast that interviews invertebrate influencers, bug breeders, and humble hobbyists to uncover the best answers to the questions they never been asked. I'm Hot Doug, and tonight our special guest is Kristen from Isoflora with their incredible menagerie of isopods and other arthropods goods. And now, let me introduce the host of Unearthed, Juice himself. Welcome, Juice.
Thank you, Hot Doug. Thank you, everybody. Welcome, Kristen. We have an incredible show for you guys tonight. We're talking to Kristen of Isoflora Isopods. And if you have tuned in to Unearthed before, the whole point is for it to really dig in there and unearth the questions that you, the viewers, ultimately wanted to find out from your absolute favorite people on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or wherever anybody who's famous can be found. So I want to kick it back at the Hot Doug, and I'm looking very much forward to this interview today.
All right. Thank you all for joining us on the live streams. We're here on Instagram and YouTube. Feel free to start sending us questions as we interview Kristen. We'd love to have any and all audience participation. So go ahead and shoot your questions to us as you think of them, and we'll weave them into the show. It's my honor to introduce to you all Kristen of Isoflora Isopods. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. How was the commute here?
It was treacherous. It was real difficult. Had to go up a few flights of stairs, and then that was it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we have a lot of questions. I know a lot of people, when I was originally talking to like who should we talk to, your name came up a lot, and I've worked with
really?
you. Absolutely, yeah, and I've worked with you before, so I really want to know, like, maybe just take a couple minutes and explain like who you are, what you do, and ultimately like what is your company best known for?
Okay, so my name is Kristen. There's a confusion on my last name because some people have seen Waslowski, some people have seen Grammatis. I got married a couple years ago, and a lot of our stuff still says Waslowski on it. So I'm Kristen Grammatis. And I have been running Isoflora for about, I want to say almost, it's going to be 5 years come April this year. Basically about me is that I had started on this kind of like strange journey, opening up this business, not really thinking it would end up being a business. I had an Argentinian black and white tegu who I no longer have him. He actually passed away at the age of 11 years and 4 months, and the veterinarian did say it was unfortunately from just his body failing and him getting older. But when he was younger, we were trying to encourage him to like have a healthier diet because they are omnivorous, mm-hmm. and they are supposed to eat more than just the turkey meat that he would want to gobble up all the time.
Right.
And for the longest time, we had him in the very beginning. 13 years ago, not a lot was really known about them yet. So yeah. We made a lot of mistakes in the beginning where we caved and we only gave him turkey meat. We gave him a few vegetables here and there. We tried to sneak it in the meat once in a while, and we gave him cockroaches and crickets when he was a baby. And it led to him having a few issues where he had impactions and stuff, and he wasn't shedding very well because we weren't adding enough fish to his diet. Mm. And I got very lucky with an amazing veterinarian who was apparently very aware of the bioactive world. And He was like, listen, he's like, for all the issues you're having, he's like, one, obviously you have to get him on a more varied diet that will help him a lot. But you also should look into bioactive, because if you give him an environment that allows him enrichment, he can move around more. It's going to help him shed easier. It's going to, he's going to feel more confident to accept more food typically when they're more comfortable.
Right.
And when I was looking into bioactive then, it was just like, we're talking, this is maybe like 6-7 years ago when I had first started. I was trying to find anybody who had, dwarf whites, powder blues, powder oranges. You couldn't really find anybody. Like, yeah. People had them online, but like it was just too expensive to be enough to fit and fill his 8-foot enclosure. Like, this is going to cost me a lot of
enclosure.
Money. Yeah, exactly. So they need a very big space. And I found a local guy, and he sold dwarf whites for like way too much, like maybe like 4 times what I charge them for now.
Right.
And that I bought a bunch, and I was like, let me just breed these on my own, and then I'll have enough for him to have the bioactive. And then as I had all of these isopods, just the basic species for him, and then for a couple of other smaller like lizards, like geckos and stuff, it became apparent that still it was not a common thing to see them at pet stores or even exotic pet stores, isopods or springtails or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky in the fact that one of my really good friends is the owner of a pretty big pet store here in New Jersey. It's called New Jersey Exotic Pets. That's in Lodi, New Jersey. They're a pretty big pet store. They have a really phenomenal display. Like, they have exotic things from like, the craziest cool looking like white lip snakes to like all different kind of crested geckos, because they work with plenty of breeders in the area who have very interesting array of them. And then like they've got they also have like toucans and skunks. Like, they've got everything.
Toucans?
Yeah,
I didn't know you can have those.
You can have them if you live in the right
awesome.
state. You can get the permit for it. So
nice.
I know this is kind of feels like it's drawing off a lot, but I promise I'm going somewhere with this. So like that store being one of the biggest ones in New Jersey, I got very lucky that when bioactive started to become a thing, like kind of like during, like right before COVID, and people were coming in and asking them like, hey, do you have isopods? Do you have this? And they're like, no, like we don't even know where to get that. Like, our main suppliers for superworms and crickets and cockroaches don't offer that stuff.
Right.
And then, it kind of came to the point where my friend was like, would you be willing to like box your isopods up and help it, like have us sell them at the store? And then that was it. Like, I started selling at that store, and then I realized that, I'm like, oh, I can keep doing this. Like, this is comfortable for me. Like, I have no problem offering these to pet stores locally. And then before I knew it, I figured out how to sell online, how to ship safely. It was a lot of trial and error to figure out all the right best practices, but that's how it all started, was a pet store that gave me a chance and kind of pushed me. So I have my friend Megan over at NJ Exotics to thank for that, for the big push. But ever since then, like, I developed the LLC pretty fast, and I've just had, the business since, and that was all established in 2021. But I would say what sets us apart from basically other isopod breeders, not that there aren't other breeders that have good communication, but I would say our communication. One thing that we receive praise for when we complete an order or we ship to somebody is that they're like, I have never had somebody be so on top of like the weather in our area, like when to ship right, like whether or not like we shouldn't do this. And like, I've even had people who were like, I'm so sorry, but like, is there any way you could refund me? I changed my mind on my order. I'm like, oh yeah, you've been refunded already. Like, the moment I got your email, you were refunded. Like, it's just like, it's just nice. Ease of conversation and just trying to make people feel comfortable, because getting into isopods is pretty overwhelming for a lot of people.
And I think you nailed it on two things. I want to go back. Well, first I want to address that. In communication and customer service, you are incredible at. And I want to also give you props for that. I do agree with you. I think a lot of people, for some reason, from like the way that people used to do things in like a store, like customer service became like this talking point for like every Hallmark movie of like, customer service. But then like the people that are the most successful in the industry from an e-commerce perspective, the reason they're successful is because of communication and customer service. Like, that's all you have to do. And I've talked to, I can't tell you how many different vendors I bought things from, but it's a lot. And there are some that you're like, dude, you shouldn't be in business. Like, you should have given up back in 1992.
It's like, do you like people?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like,
I get it. A lot of people in this world suck, but like, you have to kind of like, or have faith in some people in this world.
If you don't like people at all, then like, don't do this, I wanted to go back to, and it sucks so bad because I feel like a lot of reptiles back in the day, like I used to have a green iguana back in like 1992. Wasn't mine, it was my dad's. But 96. what I noticed is that like a lot of people when they got these bigger reptiles, back in the day, like there was no information. And then once Google and all of these, the internet came around, there became almost too much information. And so I 100% understand, like, I can't tell you the sheer number of like incorrect invertebrate information I've seen on the internet. So completely understand. When I first got into this business as well, I think we talked about it a little bit before the show. Like I started into isopods, and there was like, the information was so bad. Like it would tell you like, this is where they're from. Okay, cool. Now how do I keep it alive? Like it was like a big question mark.
It's just the icon of a guy shrugging next to the answer.
Yeah. And the guy's like, I don't give a shit how you do it. Just keep it alive. Otherwise, you're going to pay me more money. Like that was kind of the way they do things. So, well, hey, we really appreciate that you are out there. I want to talk about this for 1 second, but I don't want to do it yet. I want to talk about some of your, the way that your website is designed. We'll kick that over later on, but
It's my baby.
there's some things about your website that I'm like, this is amazing. I love this.
Thank you.
Where can people find and follow you? And then the second part is, what is your favorite social media and why?
Okay, so the best way to really find and follow us is Instagram. It's the most common one we use. I know there's so much debate on whether or not that's kind of floating and surviving against TikTok, but I'm like, not a fan of TikTok. We have the TikTok.
Terrible.
You'll find us on there. You'll find us on there, but like we barely post on it, and I'm trying to be better about it. But Instagram is 100% how you can find us at Isoflora Isopods. We're on Facebook as well, but I will be completely honest with you. I'm never on Facebook. If you do message us on Facebook, there are automated replies that I did set up that will tell you this is not monitored. We're not typically on here. Please email us here. Shoot me a text. Like, we have a business cell phone. You can just shoot us a text and ask us questions at any time. It's not my personal cell. It is strictly for business. So if you have a random question at 3 a.m, you can shoot us a text. I might be awake because I'm kind of an insomniac these days. So, so another way to reach us is I could just give the number. It's 201-834-6024. We get texts all the time, and I love the questions that we get through there. And also our email, to reach us is just info@iso-flora, FLORA.com. So you can really reach us a myriad of ways. It's hard to not get in touch with us, actually, which is why, we're able to say like, oh, communication's pretty easy with us. There's no way you can't get in touch with us.
Yeah.
But Instagram's my favorite.
Okay, so Instagram, I've reached you numerous times. Like, you're very easy to get a hold of there. I did not remember that phone number. I'm so sorry. Luckily, we record all of these.
It's all good.
Because I have not Dora the Explorer, Dory. There we go. I have Dory syndrome. I'm like, I just have a map, guys. Okay, now you obviously you sell isopods, but now we're getting into like the really great questions. You don't have, you can tell me whatever you want, but realistically, what's your favorite invertebrate?
I would probably, I don't know, I want to say it's
You can pick multiples.
It's an
it doesn't
octopus,
have to be one.
really.
Really?
I've owned one, and they are such clever, miraculous, impressive, beautiful creatures. Like, holy cow. Like, the one we had was one of those that I don't understand how I was able to even own this, was that the colors it changed into was so, I could sit there for hours. And just stare at him live. And I'd be like, I love him so much. But
yeah.
They get into anything. They're so smart. Like, you have to set up their enclosure to make sure that they cannot squeeze into literally anything. You just can't have any opening anywhere.
Whoa.
That's so wild. What kind of species was your octopus?
My husband was the one who was like, oh, we should get it. It's really cool. I'm going to try and see if I can.
I got to see them up close maybe twice. When I moved to California, obviously there's none in Ohio where I'm from. Not a big seller there. But I got to go California Academy of Sciences there. They have the giant Pacific octopus or whatever.
Oh, right.
And I did not realize how freaking big some of these things get. And they're so dope all the time. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it might have been like a pygmy type of octopus, because we knew it wasn't going to get very big, and
Oh, okay.
It lived for a while. It lived for a while, but that's definitely my favorite, just because I had the experience of seeing how intelligent and beautiful they are. But oh my god,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I've always wanted one, and I know my wife would like one, but I think she would probably veto that very quickly if I wanted to get one. Just
Maybe I
because
should
my
look into
dog.
breeding them.
Yeah, I don't
I
start
want to
me
keep
down.
all of them. It's not
Don't
going to work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't start me down this path.
Like, you're too smart. I gave you a human name already.
Yeah, I can't. They're so intelligent. I would screw that up immediately. Okay, so octopus, love that. All right, now this is always a hard one for people. It's actually harder for me because everything I want to own is dangerous. But if you could just magically, like magic wand, something's tamed, and it's a pet now, and it'll completely listen to you. It'll be your best friend.
Anything ever.
It could be anything. It could be anything, and doesn't matter. It could be a massive size. I don't care. Regardless of size, nature, demeanor, it's now your best friend pet. What are you magically taming?
Jaguar.
Oh,
Wow.
shit.
Oh, 100%. I've been so impressed by like jaguars since I was in like kindergarten. And like they're just such magical, dangerous, beautiful creatures. And if you could control one,
Yeah.
you get rid of all the risk of why you shouldn't get one. Like I just
Yeah,
got rid of the
that's
problem. So
That is a very reasonable pet. I mean, well, it's an unreasonable pet, but like it's such a reasonable response. I just realized in this moment, I don't know a single damn thing about jaguars. Like as you said that, I was like, nope, have no information
Oh
on them in
man,
this.
look up like a black jaguar, but it still has like the patterning underneath, so it has
Yeah.
like, the iridescence and certain shine of light. It's
yeah.
like looking at a rainbow boa, but it's fur, so it like has this cascading, really cool rainbow effect to
Yeah.
it. But it looks black in the shadows. That's why they hide and they can pounce and kill pretty easily.
Do they
But-
all have that? Like, or am I
No.
just
There's certain
okay.
there's certain breeds depending on where they live for types of camouflage.
okay? Because that was my question. Is I'm like, I know that like like the internet has kind of made people obnoxious. Where like if you say something about like a polar bear's white, they're like, well, they're actually black with clear hair, and you're like, no shit, dude. Everybody has heard that fact.
If you shaved it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, but like when I'm
Have
looking
you
at
seen
it,
a
it's
shaved
white.
bear?
It's horrifying.
It's so
Yeah.
cool, but so scary.
It's so scary. There was what was it? It was like the one that was like a grizzly bear or something that had like some issue. It was so scary. Them and raccoons are like the scariest looking
Yeah.
creatures when they
a
have no
wet
hair.
koala.
Oh yeah.
Horrifying. Take a
Okay, but
eucalyptus
no-
away for just 5 minutes and just
Yeah.
put it in the rain.
Wet koalas are so scary, and then you hear them, and you're like, I would have died in wherever they're from. Well, Australia, I'm assuming. Okay. I don't know why I didn't suddenly know where koalas are from. It's like the most known. It's like the most known fact about koalas, and I lost that
Being
information. at this
super
moment.
inclusive. They could be anywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I'm like, they could just be anywhere. Like, nope, they're in one place.
They're in Milwaukee, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, those koalas in South Dakota. Okay, what is a question? Oh, wait, hold on. I skipped where I'm at. What is a little known fact about you?
Oh boy.
Made it awkward. You have to talk about yourself now. It's on
I know.
you.
That's awful. I have I don't really know. Like, I mean, you can say you can kind of guess from my Astro headset. I love video games. I'm a very big RPG gamer.
Nice.
Love it.
I
Which
will get
kind?
lost. So I used to really like turn-based, but then I think even when Final Fantasy started to kind of delve into like different types of like battle systems, I started to appreciate those more. And they're also more addicting too, because you can kind of like build all your different armor and stuff. So I get addicted to those pretty much.
Yeah. Did
Like
you
right
play
now, I'm
the
still
Final
trying to get
Fantasy
through God of
remake?
War.
Oh,
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I like it. I haven't finished it. I've been trying to take my time because my friend like beat it really fast, and
yeah.
I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, I want to make this last, and like I haven't even finished it yet. It's been out for years, and
It comes out the
and I haven't.
29th, the second round, and I'm glad that
Oh,
you're in
right.
the. I just started picking up it again, like maybe last week, because I want to beat like everything in the game again, because the 29th,
nice.
the second round. So everything I heard was like, yeah, they threw this thing out there to see if people would pay money for it. And then they went nuts on the second one. And I'm like, I cannot wait to play that. I don't have time to play games anymore, but something like a Final Fantasy VII remake, I will play that. I will just quit my job and play it.
I used to take off of work for games. Like when God of War, the first the PS4 one came out, I took off of work 3 days and I beat it in 3 days.
Nice.
I want you to know that my wife can hear all of this, and she would love to talk about God of War, because that is like her jam. She's such a God of War fanatic. Yeah, she loves that game, and she's the only person I think I know that's actually beat the Ragnarok one too, like multiple times I think at this point. Okay. You talked about how you got like into invertebrates. And so like before you had your Tegu, were you like a bug nerd, or were you just kind of like you knew they existed and they kind of were around?
I wasn't like, if somebody were to ask me like, do you like really like bugs? I would be like, no, I'm not. I don't really care too much for them, but I think that they're really cool looking. But I'd be lying if I wasn't like going to look for them in my backyard as a kid. Like I was a very outdoors kid. Like aside from playing GameCube constantly as a child and PS1 and stuff, I was majority of the time, especially when the weather is nice, like you're out in the backyard. I'm lifting rocks. We had a pond in the backyard my dad made, and like it was just the perfect environment for all the rocks around it to have some moisture underneath. So I would flip them all the time. I would drive my dad nuts because he was just trying to create a nice border, and I was like, oh, good opportunities for roly-polies and different little centipedes and stuff. So I would try and put them all back, just try and like not show him that I was still messing with them. So I wouldn't keep them. I would just love staring at them outside. I just thought they were so cool. Actually, I took in a lot of snakes when I was a kid.
So
shouldn't have been doing that, but I did a lot of that.
So you were more of like a reptile person that kind of got into invertebrates? Okay.
Yeah, I grew up with chameleons and iguanas and anoles and everything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was known as the lizard girl in school.
It's funny because I know they're like almost gateway drugs. You either go like I was a bug nerd that then had reptiles, and then it's like other people are like reptile nerds that become bug people.
Yes.
Like they're like you know that meme where like it's like the Arnold and Carl Weathers, there we go. How they have like the handshake and then it's just like the Venn diagram.
The very
it's like
strong,
those,
like
yeah, it's like those two. It's always so funny because like if you get really into bugs, you will on a long enough timeline own a snake or a reptile of some sort, and vice versa. You're like, I really love this Tegu. What about a tarantula? Like, and it's so funny because
that's exactly what happened. We got that Argentine Tegu. We have, oh my god, I think our Mexican Redney outlived our Tegu. I just realized this. We got the Mexican Redney, I think, like the same week as we got the Tegu, because we were still researching about a Tegu because they had one, a full-grown adult one, at the pet store, and we saw him just chilling there, just all chunky, all happy on the floor, and all these little kids picking their boogers and running around with lollipops in their hands, or just walking up to him, smacking him on the head, like, hi, lizard. And he didn't care, and he didn't move. And I'm like, that's the lizard I want. He's cool. So
chill.
While we were waiting for an opportunity, because they didn't sell them there, he was just a show pet. They didn't have a breeder on hand to sell the babies. So I waited until the Hamburg Reptile Expo in Pennsylvania to get Torque, our Tegu. Yeah. But while we were waiting, we were like, well, we were young. Like we were maybe like 20, 21. We're like, we really want to get something right now though. And my friend's like, have you ever seen a Mexican Redney? And this is before they were like, more expensive. This was $25 we got her for. Wow. And obviously it's a her because she's now like 14 years old. Like 13 years old. Yeah.
I don't
think we still have her. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was just going to say, I think that, tarantulas are kind of like cats, and that people that are kind of like on the fence about them shouldn't get them because they don't realize like how long that they actually can live. Like I know so many people that'll be like, well, I really want a female tarantula. And I'm like, do you know how long 20 years is? Like
sometimes 25.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, some of them, like the females can live like, 10, 15, depending on species. But like, especially like the more Mexican species, they will live 25. Like there's some trapdoor spiders that are like 30 years. And I'm like, dude, you are investing a lot of your life in this pet. Like, just because it's $25 does not mean that it's not going to come with a whole lot of responsibility, right?
Yeah.
What is a question that you always wish somebody would ask you, but they just never do?
Man. I guess what would be kind of maybe a simple one. I can't even think of that. Like,
We put you on the spot.
yeah. Let me see. A question that I wish somebody would ask me. If honestly, I don't know. I feel like I get so many questions asked to me all the time. I don't think I ever thought of like, oh, why won't somebody ask me this already? I don't know.
Maybe related to care or anything like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, I guess when it comes to feeding colonies of thousands of isopods, like I never really get asked like, how do you feed all these guys? And
like fairly.
yeah, like so when we started, we were in a 1-bedroom apartment. We started right out of where we were living, and it was difficult to feed everybody because everyone was up on us. I had basically a shelving system that scaled all the way up the wall, all the way to the top from the floor. And we had bins, and if anything, a lot of my lives, a lot of people can actually see that right behind me. So some people who might be in here might be familiar with what I'm talking about, that we don't have that same setup anymore because we did move. We relocated to a much bigger location and have a facility of where all of them are being held now. But when we were feeding them then, it was so tedious because you were taking 2 to 3 bins at a time off, opening the culture, giving them what they needed, spraying them down, sifting around what you needed, topping off with extra substrate for what they ate, and then, putting them back. And it would take 3 hours on average to do all those bins. Now it takes me 45 minutes because the way we have them set up is all along like 3 really long shelves, and I literally just slide them all forward, rip all the tops off, like I run down like an assembly line really fast, and I'm just like spraying each of them because now I'm comfortable with how much each one needs depending on the species, and I'm just like carrot, okay, and like you're getting like Repashy, you're getting calcium, you're getting whatever, and it's like it takes me no time at all now to do this, but like I guess it's one question because I never really got to discuss like how I handle feeding such a wild amount of isopods.
It's funny you mention that. Yeah, because nobody ever understands the suffering that the person they buy this stuff goes through.
Tedious.
Like, there's so much time. I mean, like, this one rack behind me doesn't look like much, but if you realize that each one of these, there's probably 12 behind it, that can take, for just like 2 shelves, it can take like 3-4 hours. You know what I mean? Just between everything. Exactly. Now, I do have a question for you that because you've already talked about the fact that you have all these different bins and you open all these different bins. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is fruit flies.
Oh yeah,
Fungus
gnats, yeah.
And fungus gnats. What is your? Because now I have tried rove beetles for fungus gnats, and that worked pretty well. What is your tips and tricks for the people that are viewing, listening, whatever, on these 2 pests?
I have a myriad of different precautions that I take, and it is and they all seem to either capture or repel, and it seems really good. One big one that a lot of people are familiar with is Akachi. There's other versions out there. There's other companies that make them. But it's a fan that basically has like a UV light that's purple or blue. Some of them change colors depending on speed setting, so you can see like visually what speed setting it's at. But the fan it's basically a computer fan that's at the top of this thing, sucks it down, goes onto a sticky pad, and you would change it out however often you need, and that thing pulls in a lot. That's obviously something that's going to be a solution for when you already have them. Another solution is the plug-in ones that are the same thing. They have the same kind of purple UV light or whatever, and that goes into the wall. You can leave those plugged in too to kind of capture them. Another thing is a lot of people see like this may make sense for a lot of people, but there's the yellow sheets, the sticky traps that are double-sided adhesive. And they usually advertise them for like houseplants, and they come with like a little pick in the ground with like a little butterfly like holder, like a little clip, and it has like a little design to hold them. So what I do is I throw all the butterfly clips away, and I actually cut with this slicer behind me. Actually, down to size for each container, and I have that adhesive on the top of the lid in every single isopod bin. So that is also actively collecting them. The cool thing about those adhesive things is you don't need to rip them out and throw them away when they're too full. You can just take them out, put soap and hot water on them. It cleans off all the dead bodies, and it just dries to be adhesive again. So
No kidding?
it's amazing. It's reusable. So you do that too. There are a lot of, there's two more things I'm going to mention. There's vents that are out there that people are adding to their enclosures where they're trying to make the perforations small enough that fungus gnats can't get in, and they can't leave and whatever. I found the cheat is that it doesn't look pretty, not really that pretty. And this is what I use in all my enclosures: cross stitch fabric. It is too small for them to come through, and it is fully breathable. Like, you can take cross stitch fabric and put it to your face and breathe through it. It's the same way as what is fully breathable for being able to get cross breeze across the enclosure. And then the last one, which is, now those are all kind of like preventatives and being able to keep them from moving, those last two I mentioned. And the first two I mentioned were to handle them when you already have a lot that are flying around the air.
Yeah.
The biggest step you will ever take in preventing them from starting in the first place is a combination of two things. You're going to monitor how much you're watering. You need to make sure you're not watering that much. If you overwater, you are just creating that bog of water and that home for them. It's like mosquitoes. Like, when you have, it's the same thing, because they have the same life cycle, or like a larvae cycle. When there is a body of water outside in your backyard, they tell you to try and dry those up, or try to make sure you fill them in, because it's just going to be a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Look at it the same way as when you wet down your enclosures for isopods. Like, make sure there's no areas that water is just bogged and just thick in the substrate, because they're just breeding in that. They're enjoying that.
Yeah.
If you lessen it, then you'll be fine. You won't have as many that'll breed in there at all. Another big thing that you're going to do with that substrate is you're going to go and get mosquito bits. These little bits you would dissolve into water. And what a lot of people do is they take cheesecloth and they put the mosquito bits in there. And basically what this will do is it'll start to, it'll basically melt into the water enough. You can put it in a spray bottle. You could just pour it, or whatever you have to do to the substrate to treat it. But if you every once in a while spray that substrate, that's naturally going after the babies. It's not going to kill the adults. So like when you spray it, you're not going to start seeing the adults fall left and right or anything. So it is about the life cycle process, about 2 weeks, where you have to wait for it to stop the cycle of the babies surviving in the soil, and then eventually you'll see the adults aren't appearing anymore. So spraying your enclosures with the mosquito bits mixed with water, and the best part is that they will not harm your isopods. They will not harm your springtails. They have nothing to do with what they will be prone to.
So how does it even work? Because that's crazy to me. Because I know a lot of, I mean, you may or may not know that. I just realized, I'm like, you're a chemist, right? You understand how this. But it's wild to me, because I know a lot of poisons that are out there are designed to desiccate. They're very borax heavy. So why doesn't it affect the isopods?
For some reason, so isopods don't have a larvae state. Or like they don't have the same type of life cycle that a fungus gnat or a mosquito would, where they have a very delicate little exoskeleton and it's surviving on the moisture around it to survive. So it's pulling in moisture to grow into its next cycle. For an isopod, like, it's very delicate stages. It's spent inside the mother's, in her belly here and on her underside. So by the time they're born, they have enough of an exoskeleton, even though they look like that they're white and super delicate. They're not prone to being, to taking in that whatever that toxic stuff is to mosquitoes. It's not going to affect them the same.
You bring up a really good point that I get a lot of questions all of the time, which is great, and I love answering those questions. But I noticed that a lot of people don't understand just how hardy like arthropods are in general.
Oh yeah.
And isopods are one of those things that, like, I've like certain species, I've like when you have P526 permits, one of the things you have to do is you have to like freeze the soil and all of that thing.
The
so
initial
that way
permit asks for that. They still do now, but it's very different. I don't know if you saw how to apply for it now, but they changed everything.
I have to do it again this year, and I'm already annoyed. I got it
I'll
last
be doing
year.
that with you.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things I always thought, I had actually had a bin that, to me, this was before I got my permits. I'm new to the hobby. I had powder blues, and you can kind of imagine where the story is going. I go back out of my garage like 3 months later. There's no water, nothing. I've done nothing to this bin, and there is a thriving colony of powder blues. And I'm like, dude, and like I've had that with a roach. It was actually in the bin. So it was Madagascar hissing cockroach in the center, powder blues surrounding it. And I'm like, how the hell did all of you survive? Like 3 months, 95 degrees summer.
Yeah.
And
You're
people
surviving off that cockroach's poop, I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly. And that thing's eating just
They're
whatever
in
crap.
heaven. They're like, you gave us food for life.
They're living off of that one, and he's eating everything else in the bin. And I remember just being like, this is incredible. And I will have people that would be like, well, I just got this thing, and I'm really worried because it hasn't eaten yet. And I'm like, you got it yesterday. Calm down. Like, they don't need to eat, So it's just always funny to me, like, once you get into the hobby, you start to realize, like, isopods in particular are crazy hardy. And I don't think a lot of people realize, like, if they're dying off, like, you've done something horribly wrong. Like, for the most part.
Temperature is the only thing that really faces to be a threat to them, or no ventilation whatsoever.
Which is absolutely crazy to me that, like, you, like, I know people are like, I had a total die off. I'm like, what the hell was the temperature in your house? And they're like, well, I put a heat mat on the bottom of the tank. And I'm like, well, there you go. That's exactly how that happened.
Yeah.
What is, maybe you covered it a little bit, but like, what is an arthropod myth that every time you hear it just kind of makes your skin crawl a little bit?
It doesn't really make my skin crawl, but like, I think it's just, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess the one that does kind of bother me, but I also don't want to defend them because we were talking about mosquitoes before, that a lot of people believe they transmit HIV. They can't.
Do they think that?
They cannot do that. Yes, they can. Yes, they have blood in them, and yes, they're going to be sucking your blood with that. They probably also use the same, sucker on somebody else, but it cannot transmit. Diseases don't transfer that way. But I guess one that doesn't bother me, but one myth that I do hear very often that I've heard since I was very little, because I was raised to believe this, is that if you were stung by a bee, that they will die right after. The only ones that will die are the worker honeybees. Those are the only ones that absolutely need that stinger to survive. And when it pulls out too much of them, then that's what kills them. Not the stinger. It's because it's literally pulling out part of their exoskeleton inside of them.
I don't think people realize, too, with that, that they don't have that with everything else but us. Like, I think people think, like, oh, bees, they just attack whatever and they die immediately. Like, no, they have no problem stinging the shit out of everything else. It's you. You're the problem in this equation. Your skin and how it's folded. That's the issue. I remember thinking that as a kid. I learned that. Do you guys have mud dauber hornets in Jersey by chance? Okay,
I'm gonna know what they are now.
Based on your face, they are this beautiful rainbow color. They're like a black.
Oh, I've seen them before.
Wasp, hornet,
but bluish iridescent.
Yeah, they're real iridescent, and
I always thought they were so
flutter.
pretty, but they're not.
They're
around
so
here
pretty.
They might be. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, they're all around a lot of like freshwater lakes and rivers. I remember getting the absolute shit stung out of me by one of these things because I thought it stung me one time, I'm good. And then it stung me like 12 more times. And I'm like, oh no, like this thing can keep just stabbing me. And I didn't, when you're younger, you don't understand that. And I know a lot of grown adults to this day that will like get stung by like a yellow jacket, for instance. And they're like, I'm going to go find the yellow jacket that caused this. And it's like, why? And they're like, well, because it's going to be dead. And I'm like, no, they have a straight non-barbed stinger. They're just going to hit you 100 times. Yeah. They don't care.
Mm-hmm. It's not somewhere falling on the ground going like, I wasted my ammo.
I know.
Like, it's waiting for you to come back for it.
Exactly. It's like it's going to sting you 15 more times. I always loved that, like, people who are like, I'm not trying to make fun of people in their 50s, but like 50 and up. They have like the craziest old wives' tale. Where I'm like, did you guys not have scientists back in your day? Like nobody to study this stuff. They'll just tell you stuff like, yeah. I used to be like, yeah, the female mosquito is the only one that actually does that. And they're like, that's not true. I'm like, yes, it is, Mom. Yeah, I'm calling you out. I'm like, yeah, it is true. Like, well, you know what I mean? Like they just don't understand bugs. Like there was no information for them on this stuff. Where now we have more information than we could ever ask for at the end of the day.
And then all it takes is one really poorly researched news station to say something, and then everyone believes it's true about everything that kind of looks like it.
Exactly.
Like the snake that sizes up the little girl in bed to eat them.
Yeah.
Everyone know, and I swear it was funny that I'm sure you guys know who Exotic is, but she had actually posted something recently about it, how it was like one of her like pain points where she's just like, this is the dumbest thing. And like I actually commented on it and I said like, listen, like I have a feeling it's kind of like a Mandela effect, because for some reason nobody ever wants to say, oh, I heard that story on the news years ago where a snake was sizing up the girl and it was getting ready to eat her. It's always my cousin Barbara is like, she got sized up and she was going to get eaten by the snake. It's like, why do you suddenly think that you knew the person? Like, everyone believes they knew a person that had this happen. Like, did you have a Burmese python? Did your cousin have something bigger than a ball python that you think was 8 feet or 16 feet?
Yeah.
That's such a weird thing that it's such a constant effect.
It's that one.
I know the person that happened to.
Exactly. I was just about to say, everybody does that. And then to make that, so it's that one there. That one, I've heard that size up crap like 1,000 times in my life. I'm like, first off, your shoulders
that's actually an annoying thing for me. If there was an annoying question, not about an invertebrate, it's about that. 100%.
No, that one irritates the shit out of me because I'm like, dude, do you know how wide your shoulders are, first off?
I try so hard not to roll it was at a baby shower that this lady had said this to me, and I tried so hard not to roll my eyes because she was, I was like, oh, I'm about to be so mean right now.
Yeah, every person that has ever talked to me that is outside of the hobby that has been like, what does your business do? And I'm like, oh, I breed arthropods. And then they're like, well, what is an arthropod? Because that's the first question I get every time.
Yeah,
and then I explain to them.
Too.
Yeah. And so I remember when I tell them the first thing out of their mouth, like I'll be like, oh, spiders. And they'll stop me mid-sentence and be like, my cousin was bit by a brown recluse. And I'm like, the fuck they were. I'm like, dude, there's like 8 states.
You so much money that it was not true.
I'm like, I promise you, unless they're in like the 5 to 9 states in the southeast of the country, they didn't. I promise you that.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, no, I know someone in Southern California. I'm like, you're full of shit. Like, they did not get bit in. Well, it's not even like a place that's like close by. Like, I could see if you were like, oh, you know what? It was in like, it was in Kentucky. I'd be like, okay, fine. It's always like Maine. Like, no, you didn't. Yeah. You've never been bitten by a brown recluse in Maine, I promise you.
Was it a scallop?
Yeah, it's like, that's a lobster, bro. I don't know how to tell you this. You're completely wrong.
That's like, also people will like stop you and be like, is the daddy longlegs the most poisonous spider?
Okay, so that question, don't get me started, hot dog.
I knew that would do it.
Yes, not
I hate that question. Exactly. I hate that question for 3 reasons in California. One, they always say poisonous. They never say venomous, which is like, just don't fucking eat it.
Venomous sounds so much cooler too.
It does.
So much, like when you talk badly about, or you try to describe somebody's like really poor way of talking, or like the venom in their voice. Like that sounds like, if you say the poison, like, I think that venom sounds so much cooler. Like, why does that stick with you as more of the threat?
I don't know. People say venom. Like when I look up, so you do bite reports. Like, hey, I want to see how bad is this bite from this spider that I've just bought, right? Which of course I might point out, I always look at like after the fact. Like, it's already in my house. I probably should have looked at it first.
Trapdoor spider.
Yeah, exactly. You never like look this up first.
And with the Goody.
Oh man, I love Goodies so much.
Have
and
one.
They're freaking incredible. And,
I handled it too.
Well, that's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just trying to move him to his new enclosure.
I'm sure it was probably not by your choice too. So we will always get people that will first ask, like, did you? They don't ask. They just state. They'll just be like, "Did you know that the daddy longlegs is the most poisonous spider?" And you're like, "Shut up." And then you always get annoyed because it's poisonous, not venomous. That bothers me first. And the second, I'm like, what fucking scientific article did you get this from? And the part that bothers me the most is then I come to California. Daddy longlegs everywhere else in the country they're a Pilionos. They're not even a spider. Then I come to California. And it's a goddamn spider, they call this, because they call all kinds of shit weird. They call like, what do you call them? Potato bugs, isopods in Jersey?
No, or roly-polies.
But you've heard
Yeah,
Potato bugs,
bugs,
right?
so bugs. I've
Yeah.
heard plenty of different names.
Not in California. Pill bug. If you ask them what a potato bug is, it's a giant. It's a Jerusalem cricket. It's a gigantic cricket.
Jerusalem
They
cricket.
like fuck that up.
Oh.
Then they call.
Those guys are nuts.
They are crazy. I love them. Which you can find them just digging in the ground, which nobody alluded to when I was here, and just digging in the ground. And then something bites almost in my glove, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And then they're huge. They're like this big. Yeah, and then they call daddy longlegs. It's just cellar spiders, but for some reason they call them daddy longlegs here, and it drives me crazy. So I'm like, not only are you wrong 3 ways, I hate every way that they put it all of the time. But enough about that. I could rant for literally 40 minutes, and Hot Dog did that just to set me up.
Yep.
So you're around arthropods a lot, around isopods. You have a tarantula. What is like one bug / arthropod that you're just like, nope? Like you have a goody, so like it's the most venomous tarantula, right? But like, what is one that you're like, I can't.
I've got
I
a
can't
really
do it.
surprising and I'm even sad about it.
Okay.
I have a natural phobia to praying mantises. And
Really?
I think that they're so beautiful, especially the orchid mantises. I think, and the
yeah?
white ones, they're so gorgeous. If you put one in front of me, and like I am not aware, and I learned this because my mom did this to me when I was a kid. She picked one up, and she loves praying mantises. She thinks they're so cool, and I agree. Like it's weird. There's one section of my brain that will tell you right now they are so cool. I love them.
Yeah.
You put one on my shoulder like my mom did when I was a kid. That thing's going flying across the yard, but I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, and my heart rate goes up. I nearly pass out. Like I start freaking out. I can't beat. And like I honestly think it's because I appreciate their beauty, like their wings and their backside, their whole like how they look and like all together,
Right.
especially when they're on flowers and plants blending in. When you look at them up close and you look at that face, that's a little too smart for me. They're a little too smart looking. It kind of scares me. It's like there's a little alien in there, and I think he knows a little bit too much. And I'm like, I'm aware that if he had the chance, he'd go at me.
If it makes you feel any better, they're actually really stupid. And I'm telling you, as somebody that has owned them,
to hear.
they're really dumb. It's all an illusion. Like everything you think
so
about
funny.
their
A Bug's Life lied to me. He was he was the wisest of all of them.
They always do that. So just a fun fact about mantids, they will always go up. No matter what you do, so like you can always predict where they're going because they're
so scared,
always
constantly like trying to go up at me, and I'm like,
they'll
I don't
give
want
you baby hands,
right
which is kind of cute, but then they will always climb up, and it, like once you know that, you're like, bro, you are just you. They have no thinky parts, like they have no concept, like
maybe that's gonna help the other side of my brain that has the fear.
Yeah, they're really dumb.
They're the only one that I scream.
They also
definitely afraid.
Aside from the really big ones, don't get me wrong, like there's some that could really hurt, and I've had them like try to eat me. So they're dumb enough too that they like don't understand that your fingers are attached to you, like you're a giant mountain to them. But sometimes they'll just attack your fingers because they're stupid. But like the small ones, like a ghost mantis or or orchid mantis, they couldn't even hurt you if they tried. But there are some like the Chinese mantis, like the really big ones. Those the ones that like everyone will be like, did you know they eat hummingbirds? Like, yes, we are all on the internet, please, at the same time, all collectively, we've seen it. But like those actually can hurt. Like I've had, I always call it the stromboli. That's not what it's called. It's got I don't remember the scientific name. It's just a green mantis, nice and like pink hues. And this thing got me one time. It caught me with its like foresights or whatever the hell they call them. And they're like really jagged, and it got me, and that sucked by itself. And then it proceeded to try to chew into my finger, and they just have crushing plates for a mouth, so it's not like sharp. It just hurts a lot, and you're just like, son of a bitch. So yeah, but if it makes you feel any better,
never mind. We went right back to a fear.
Yeah, you can be scared of those. I would say if it's like 5 inches and above, they will hurt. Anything besides that, they're so stupid that like you just don't stand, like just walk away. Like they're not really that good.
Honestly, also too is like I don't think I've really been around many of them. Most of the photos that I appreciate online are also online. I'm also not really seeing them up in person to get used to them again. We actually did have a little egg of them that we bought off of like the same catalog you would get when you were in kindergarten or in grade school, where they'd be like, oh, do you want to buy like like monarch butterflies and like
Mhm.
watch them hatch in like this mesh thing we're gonna give you. And like I saw the other one. It's like, do you want to have like 250 praying mantises? And I was like, that's cool, Mom. And that's how I found out that I'm terrified when they get older, because we had them all over our backyard when I was a kid,
Oh
and
my
every
God.
year they would get bigger and bigger. So that's when I realized I was scared of them.
It's everybody who had a kid that I would say, like, if you're between the age of like 35 to like 40, every kid at one point their parents got them an ooth from praying mantises. And every
I'm
kid I've
33,
talked to,
close on point.
yeah, and like every kid or everybody I've talked to that was like, I'm like, how'd that go? Every one of them is like, oh, they gave me a critter keeper in this thing, and then all of the mantis babies escaped into my room. Like that happened to me.
Thank God. No, they were
Everybody,
pretty smart about how they gave it to us. They gave it to
perfect.
us, but it was in something like a flightless fruit fly culture.
Got
So
it.
like you had the mesh that wouldn't let them leave, but you got to see them all like hatch, and it was, I can't believe how many are in an ooth.
Oh, it's so many. It's so many. And
250 is what they said.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't remember which one we got, but I remember them escaping into my room and having like 1,000. It was like probably like 300, but it was a lot when I was a kid. And I remember it being like, I have a 300 tiny little aliens all in my, because they got those. Not to sidetrack for just 1 second. You know the reason why they look so smart? They're like one of the very few insects that have a movable head. They're like only so many of them can do this. That's why you have the illusion of them being intelligent, is because one, their compound eyes have like a dot in the middle,
Right.
so they look like pupils to you, and because they can do this,
Yeah.
your brain is so silly that it's just like, well, that's basically a person, and so that's
Basically a
why
person.
you
Exactly
think
it.
that's
I can't
all it
trust you.
takes. Yeah, because if anything else, like ants have a neck, but you don't give a shit because they can't do this. They can they can turn their head side to side and they can kind of like twist it, but they can't do this, and that's all it takes to confuse a human being. That's my TED talk.
That's it.
Horrifying.
Derek, I know we
Yes.
got some topics.
We do.
Or do we want to get to questions first? Do we want to take some questions?
We would be happy to take questions. At the moment, we don't have any.
Oh no, that's okay.
I think we're
So-
answering them all. We're just
Oh,
you know what I
perfect.
mean? Unless I am going to ask the audience, please feel free to ask any questions that you might have of our esteemed guest Kristen or Juice or me. Although I don't have much to tell you. But while we're doing that, we can go to Hot Doug's topic of the week. I think is what we'll call this.
Love it. No notes.
All right, so I have Kristen to ask you a hypothetical. Have you ever played the game Pokemon as a gamer?
Yes, absolutely. First 3 generations. Full
Fantastic. If you could turn any invertebrate into a Pokemon, which would you choose, and what would you name it?
So it's funny you say this, because like my husband and I were actually talking about this the other day.
Perfect.
Awesome.
we were talking about how like there's so many Pokemon out there, and some of them have ridiculously stupid names now that I don't even feel like they're Pokemon names.
Yeah.
But then again, if you look at the ones that we got used to, our other people probably thought they were wild too. And the one weird thing is that like it would be such an ability to have a Pokemon that had a parasitic kind of tactic to it. And there isn't really one. There's Parasect, but Parasect in itself does not he's not a parasite to others. He's every time he evolves, he becomes taken over. Like he plays the host of a parasite, where you notice that his eyes go from like happy and full and aware to just white when he's the evolved form. I forget the name now of Parasect's evolved form.
Oh no. I've never noticed this, and that's terrifying.
So we were saying if there could be a Pokemon that could have a power, actually, would be if, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, because you would think of something, the one thing that would have that ability the best would be a horsehair worm. And a horsehair worm just looks like spaghetti, like forbidden spaghetti if you look it up online. And if you were to, I was like, well, you could kind of take that and like form it into something like a Tangela, but it would be white with maybe like red spots all over it and stuff. And its power would be to just once it touches anything, that it could have like a translucent shell over its body, and it could kind of just seep out and take over its enemy and just control whatever it's doing, almost like an Alakazam kind of thing. So instead of it being like, it could end up being a bug slash psychic Pokemon. For the control part. So once it touches it, it can release something like a horsehair worm into the other Pokemon and can control it from any distance that it's already at once it's infected it. And if I could name it, I'd probably name it something close to like, I guess like the technical term for like horsehair worm is like neotomorphal, I believe, or something like that. And it technically like a nematode. So I guess like Psytoad.
I like that.
I like it.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I guess that would be the one that I'm surprised that they don't have anything like that. Maybe they do. I haven't looked at all these later generations. Like I said, I focused on the first 3 generations.
Yeah.
And I looked up to see, like we were looking up avidly to see if there was a Parasite-like Pokemon. And I was shocked to see Parasect come up. I'm like, the first gen? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really good point. That there is not a single. I mean, we're gonna have the Pokemon community come after us, just so you know.
We are. 100%. Be like, nope. Correction. 5th and 6th generation. There's 3. There's actually they had songs and dances about it. We had birthday parties. You guys missed everything.
I made the mistake of one time telling somebody that like I would always play Pokemon as a bug catcher, and I would just try to beat the game that way. They're like, all it takes is fire, and you're done. And I'm like, or I'll just carry a lot of potions on me. That's all I got to do. Like, I don't know if you know this. You can heal your Pokemon, bro. Just play more tactfully.
Got this macho little Caterpie that we never let evolve, and he's just like, I'm gonna kill him a choke.
It was so broken in the first couple of games. I would just play a Butterfree. Like my Butterfree was the most broken Pokemon in the game because it's like level 10 it evolves. It gets Psybeam at like level 16, and then nothing fucks with it for the rest of the game but birds. Like, good luck, bro. Like, I got a whole bunch of people. And my favorite thing is I would have like 4 bug Pokemon, and then I have 2 that the whole point of them was it would be like a Geodude or some shit that had like an infinite amount of HP, and and I would never play them. It would just be, oh yeah, this is my cast like potions or revives on people Pokemon, and that's all they did was like, yeah, I just brought back that Psybeam wielding freaking Butterfree for you. Good luck. Hope you can enjoy that punch, asshole. It was great.
I just thought of something. Did Tangela ever get an evolution?
I don't know.
I think Tangela was one of the ones that never really got an evolution, unless they made like a mega version. But
I think you're right.
What if I just came up with its cool evolution? Like, instead of it having normal weird little red boots or whatever it's got, like it becomes like high heels that are glass and they're sharp and they start dagging everybody. Like, that'd be so cool.
I think according to Bulbapedia, there's only one additional evolution, and it's called Tangrowth.
Oh, they did make one.
They added
later
one?
on, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You remember Red and Blue?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was in much. It wasn't in the original 3. You're right.
Yeah, because I remember you didn't
That's
get a Tangela until like way late in the game, and then like by that point you're like, bro, I got my original 5. Is that how many you play? No, 10. However many
6,
it is. Clearly, I'm an avid fan.
6. I think it's 6.
I think it's 6. I think you're right at 6. I would have my original 6. And then like I might like replace 1 later on, but that was it. Like it was just like, this is my team and I'm dying on this bridge. And that was just how I did everything in life playing Pokemon. It was just like, what's the first dope 6 that I get? All right, cool. That's all I'm doing. I'm never changing.
The rest are going in the box.
Box 1 through 6. That's all you're
The box
getting.
that was never checked on. The amount of duplicates in there is unfortunate.
You know, when you were talking about parasites, you reminded me of this story I heard recently. Are either of you familiar with jewel wasps?
I'm not.
Are they the wasps that make the honey that has all different kind of colors and it looks like pretty jewels?
No, they're the ones
honey.
They're the ones that
Definitely
turn
not a wasp.
cockroaches into zombies.
Oh, yeah.
I had never heard of that before, and I recently came across a story that was telling me about how they have some kind of, is it a venom or something? They have some kind of neurotoxic venom that can not only paralyze, but like control the brain of the roach to turn them basically into like human incubators for more wasps. And all of the babies like eat off the interior of the roach until they're old enough to just explode out of them and kill it. So it just is like able to like keep a roach alive for super long time as a zombie.
What? There's one of them that it's similar, except it will actually like make the zombified host protect the nymphs of the larval stage, and it'll like literally control them. So they'll like, this caterpillar will just like do this and like knock anything that's trying to attack it. It will protect them with their corpse body, because it's not alive. Like, it's definitely dead. It's like alive by definition only at that point, but it will like thrash violently, and it's because of this parrot. It's like the larva or something inside of it. I can't remember. It's so jacked.
Yeah,
I'm like, this niche that you filled in this, why?
Well, yeah,
did that evolve?
In the wasp's case, it actually does. They say it keeps the cockroach alive because they then use it as food. And once it's like injected with like the larvas of the wasps, they're eating the inside of the cockroach as it's alive.
Oh man! If you ever want to if you ever want to get really sad, look up mites and how they reproduce at some point.
Oh no.
It's not great. The moms do not want to be moms.
I'm gonna ask my husband first, because he, ironically, me having this business with isopods, my husband used to work in pest control, so I have to ask what he knows about the mites breeding.
Yeah,
I'm sure he knows.
Oh,
yeah, some of them are bad. Did we have any questions?
We do. Monica asks, what is your favorite kind of isopod?
Favorite kind? Oh, hands down, Porcellio weirneri.
Oh.
They, if you have never seen them before, give them a quick search right now. It's Porcellio is Porcellio. Weirneri is Werneri. They are the flattest isopod you can get, and they are so cool looking. They're just so pretty. I don't know. There's something about them. They're black and white isopod. There's no crazy. Yeah, they get big. Their nickname is called a Greek shield.
That's so dope.
Because they just have this shape to them. It looks like a shield, and it's so cool because like they have this like really like sticky way to their legs where like they grip on like anything really easily, but like they'll realize when you're trying to pick one up or trying to get it out of the enclosure, they will flatten to the ground, and it is impressive that their body can do that. The other reason that they're my favorite, aside from looks, is because they only give birth once a year. And it's typically around like wintertime. So actually around like summertime. And we actually just put them back up on the website as available right now because all the babies are big enough to go off to new homes. But it's just so fascinating to see all of the moms at one time around the same week have their little babies, and you watch this colony like of tiny little babies grow at the same time. And they're not like all my other isopods where like they just have broods year round. It's like you have some really tiny ones, and you could see all different sizes in the culture at all times. This is like you have the adults, they're chilling all year, and then all of a sudden all the females are gravid, and then they all give birth around the same time, and it's the coolest thing. They're wild to me. They are the most fascinating ones that we have.
They're really pretty too.
And I like sometimes it's 1 to 2 times a year, but so far I've noticed mine just do 1 time a year.
What is it like for instance, if it's summertime our time, is it because it's wintertime where they're from, and like does it change where they're from, or just
I don't know. I can't imagine that they would even know, because
that's true. Yeah, how would they know?
An internal clock in their body, because like you're still in the dark, you're in a kind of a facility where you're on shelving, like you're amongst other, like you're not seeing daylight outside. You're seeing like fluorescent lights when the lights go on in that room. You have no idea what time of year it is. The temperature's not dropping or changing any different. It might get warmer in the summer. Maybe that's the indication. But like realistically, I could always put the AC on and like keep it at the same 70, whatever I need to.
Right.
Yeah. That's interesting you say that, because I know that's like a lot of I am not a reptile expert. I know a lot of people, like their reptiles will go their brumation, but it's just like, how the fuck does it know? It's like the middle of
my tegu never brumated, but I know a lot of people whose tegus like clockwork would brumate. And my tegu never did. But then again, I also I never set up his enclosure to be that way. I didn't give him less time with the light on. I didn't cool down the temperatures. It was constant. So
it's just interesting to me that like life will find a way no matter what. It's like, dude, you could be from like Madagascar, and once you're in my box in New Jersey, you'll still do the same. You know what I mean? Like, you'll just be the same.
Yep.
What other questions do we have?
Tell us a bit, Kristen, about what's selling well on your site. What product do you want to move?
So what's actually selling well that I'm proud of that kind of took off just from a few months ago is actually a starter kit that we put together. And it's a pretty it's a starter kit that doesn't really leave you guessing what you need because we measured out everything perfect. So like you literally would
Nice.
open the baggie of substrate in the kit and you just dump it into there and it's the perfect height for like where it should be in there. I actually have it in front of me that I brought for this interview. I have this label on the front of it. Most people,
nice.
when they get them, that's not going to have this design on here because most people are going to take it off anyway because you want to be able to see around it. This is how it looks on my pet stores. So if like you go to like one of the pet stores that carry Isoflora, like you'll see the kits will have this label on the front. And they're easy to peel off anyway too. We made sure it was that way, so it's okay. So the kits basically come with pre-measured substrate of our ABG mix. And that's this substrate here. So it's perfectly measured out. So you open this, you dump the whole thing in there. There's no like guessing, is it too much, is it too little? It's exact for what it needs to be in here. These enclosures are only so big, so I only do the ABG mix. We do have bigger versions of this kit that are like double and triple and quadruple the size of this bin here.
Oh, wow.
Those sizes are also available on the website. I don't have photos up, which I definitely need to get those up because those are deeper to the point where you can have an extra layer of what I prefer to have also in there, an extra layer of organic topsoil that's not just the ABG mix,
Nice.
and then a layer of pellets that are unscented or unflavored for smoking. You use those on the very bottom, and that actually keeps the water from bogging in the substrate for those bigger enclosures. These you don't have to worry about as much as long as you make sure you don't spray too much. So this has a very simplistic setup, but the bigger setups have more layers to them that come also pre-measured. Each one comes with a little packet of live oak leaf litter. It actually comes with way more than you need because obviously they're going to eat it, so you can keep adding as you go. It comes with a live patch of either sheet or of mood moss. This is sheet moss that comes with it as well. So it's hydrated just enough so that way if you hydrate it more, you'll have a full patch. And then it also comes with one of 3 that can be chosen on the website of one of the Advanced Isopod Nutrition. That's by Vivariums in the Mist. I'm a big fan of these guys' food. It lasts years on the shelf, and
Nice.
Isopods go nuts after this stuff. So I have 3 different flavors here that we include with the kits. We have more flavors available on the website, but for the kits we have Iso Greens, which is freeze-dried green peas, Iso Meal, which as you can guess is the mealworms, and then Iso Pollen, which is the most popular one people pick. It's bee pollen. It's a no-brainer, and it's extremely healthy for isopods. So you get a choice of one of the 3 with the enclosure itself. Now, the only thing I'm not really a big fan of how we had to do something about this enclosure is that you can see that the perforations go pretty low. You want that substrate to be about here. So what we did was we actually did tape off from the inside. So obviously you don't want the adhesive facing inward for the isopods to touch.
Right.
But facing outward, we put a clear tape, and you can see it with the shine that I'm doing right now on the camera.
Yeah.
That you could see that clear tape. But realistically, if you look at it, fast, you don't notice it.
Yeah.
But that will keep the isopods, especially the babies, from crawling out, and the top holes are open. There's perforations and holes at the top of the lid too. And this is neat because even after you close it, you can still open up just a section of it if you needed to. And the other side, same thing here. Open up the other side as well and leave that closed.
So you can do like a dry side
and these
a
are
wet
stackable
side.
too.
That's awesome. I like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So you right now you have those are selling well. You just said you have Porcellio or Neri. Is there anything, are we allowed to know any like secrets or anything like that? Is there any like secrets that are coming down the way that we should know about, or you want to announce now? You don't have to.
I don't think I really have any secrets. I'm pretty open about any projects that we have in the future. We have a monthly newsletter that if you sign up for it, I promise we don't bombard people in their emails. We send maybe like at most 3 emails a month, just kind of promoting like, hey, this is our list of back in stock. These are our new species we have coming out. Or like announcing things like this, like this interview coming up.
Nice.
or expos we're going to be at. We have those too. But we do a monthly newsletter on the first of every month. It drops, and it basically is just a really quick breakdown of like what's to be expected for the month, any new changes that happened, any new promotions, big sales that are coming on, and that's the best way to kind of keep track, because right now there isn't really anything that I haven't announced to anyone who follows Isoflora on Instagram or in our newsletter. But on the first of every month, if you want to sign up, if you go to iso-flora.com on our website, like you can actually, there is a button right at the top that goes for sign up for our newsletter. Just sign up for it and you can be aware of everything that's going on. We do have a few new cool projects and expos coming up, and we'll be announcing more on the 1st. So that's definitely going to be a way to find out anything new that's going to be coming out, because we'll make sure to get people to know really fast.
Awesome.
Perfect. And I know that we're short on time here. So what I want to do is, do you mind giving those dates for the expos that you had said about? Because I want to obviously get those out.
Initially, we had 2 expos planned out, and unfortunately, as what some people on the East Coast who attend the big expos in New York and New Jersey, or really New York is where most of them are held, there was supposed to be an expo on, I believe it was March 16th. Let me see, just make sure it on see where it lands on a Sunday or not. It was March 17th, I believe. No, March 10th it was. There was supposed to be an expo at a community college on Long Island. Actually would have been really cool, because I actually went to that college when I was doing community college after high school. And for some reason, something had happened where they lost the venue. And it was a really awesome venue to have for reptile expos. And it was a great community. It was really the only big expo that's on Long Island. So that having just been lost, they're still trying to plan a way to have future expos and whatnot, but now we kind of lost that one. So that was one we were going to do, but won't be happening until they can figure out how to get either another venue or get that one back again. And then there's one that we're going to do in White Plains, which is one of my favorite venues to do, and that's going to be April 21st. And that's going to be, I believe, tickets at the door like 10 to 12, I think it's like $12 at the door. Little kids get in free. There's tons of food at the place. There's a lot to do there, especially it's going to be nicer out as well. And there's a lot to do around the area as well, before and after the expo. But that expo goes from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's a wide array of people who attend that expo. It is insane.
Yeah.
It is in Westchester, New York. So it's like close enough to the city and, not too far of a drive from anywhere else, from New Jersey or, Connecticut or Massachusetts. People drive from all over to go to that expo.
That's awesome. So it's like the California has like Pomona. So it's like that version of Pomona essentially, but on the New York side.
Yeah. And they try to hold them in White Plains like once every couple months, if not every month. So they happen often as well, but we'll be there on the 21st in April.
Awesome. So it looks like, so maybe what we'll do is, Hot Dog, if we want to leave it to some questions. After questions, we can wrap up just because time purposes here. But to recap, definitely check out their website. You want to hit us again with your website?
Yeah, it's iso-flora, FLORA.com.
Perfect. Go get those Porcellio werneris, because those
they're
things,
gonna go very fast.
They're gonna go. I'm telling you, you're gonna look. If you're new into the hobby, or you've got some isopods, and you look at them, and you're like, well, these aren't powder blue costs. They're not, but you just heard why. So go get them because someone is going to buy them.
They're actually not that expensive. That's the best part. They're not as expensive as a rubber ducky or anything. They just happen to be some of my favorites.
They're not?
They just look so cool. No, they're not at all.
Then you have priced them aggressively, and I appreciate that. So go buy them now, because if they're not as expensive as a rubber ducky, then you need to get these isopods.
They
They're
last
so
maybe
dope.
at most a month by us.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Really
So go pick them up now.
Yeah.
You guys, you got to hear about this right now. So if you're watching this, just go pick them
They
up.
just went up like 3 days ago, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're gone tomorrow, just so you guys know. So buy them now while you can. Definitely love the starter kits. That's awesome. Like, I saw those a while ago. I was super excited to see that you had those. Those are perfect. And also ABG mix. They got some moss. They got all kinds of stuff. Go check out their website. Their website and artwork is amazing. Like, it's super user friendly. While we wait I want to take just 2 minutes to talk. while we're waiting for questions from the audience, you have the coolest. When you look at an isopod, you have symbols that remind me of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it shows you like this is a good arid species. This is a good whatever. You want to take just 2 minutes to discuss this because I think that's the coolest
I'm
thing
hoping
ever.
Apple doesn't come after me. Those are Apple emojis that I thought were just very perfect enough to be descriptive.
Yeah.
So I actually have them right behind me. So
they are awesome because at a glance, I'm long-winded, guys, so I can talk to you about care for days, but Kristen has found a way to simplify things exponentially through basically basic emojis, which I think is incredible.
All right. So
if you can see these, see if we can hold them up to the camera.
Is basically, hang on, so let me find the camera here.
There you go.
So you've got Cubaris marina, mermaid pearl. See if it can try to not focus on my face and get this instead. There we go. So you can see you have tropical, temperate, arid. Anybody who has an Apple iPhone recognizes these symbols. Hopefully they won't come after me. But basically it's highlighting in color what these guys are comfortable in. Cubaris marina, by the way, is a species that is so underrated. But then again, like I think people are still learning what they are, and people hear Cubaris and they're like, oh, those are the expensive ones. They're like rubber duckies. They're like, cappuccino. They're like the really pricey ones I can't get. Cubaris marina are kind of pricey, like a little bit, not so much anymore. Their prices are coming down fast because they're realizing that they are just as easy to breed as powder oranges and powder blues. Yep. They breed so fast and they are so pretty. And as you can tell in this photo, like they come in like the craziest little colors. You have like gray, you've got white, you've got the anemone that's also like an orange kind of like purple kind of color. And like it's like, as it shows on here, like they're perfect in tropical, temperate, and arid, all three of them. It's hard to kill these guys. They breed fast and they are so hardy. So this is a good tell, like this is on every container when we ship out. So if you're purchasing mermaid pearls, this is the label you're going to see on that container, and it's going to tell you these are the different conditions it's comfortable in. If you go ahead and get something like Cubaris species, like cappuccino, you've got that they're comfortable in tropical and temperate, but the arid is dulled out, so you can see that they don't do really good in arid at all. Greek Shield. This is one of our really rare ones where, and you actually I can show you what a Greek Shield looks like, how flat it is. But the idea is that most species, almost basically all of my labels say that they're comfortable and temperate. Porcellio werneri are comfortable just like the giant Porcellio species, like the Hoffman-Sagi and stuff. Like they need arid. They do not want high moisture. They'll basically die from failed molts because of their rough backs or their rough textured backs. And this was our way of making it easy for people who were purchasing a new species to be like, oh man, what is the care like on these things? Like, what should I do? And it's like, we also have a breakdown on our website of all of these. So like you don't have to purchase it to get this information. Like we have each of these species on a, I believe that the name of the page that I have on there is Isopod Selection Guide. And you can look down and see all of the different species and what the recommendations are for the amount of humidity that they require to be comfortable and live a long life and breed healthily. And then we have another page that is, choosing your isopods, and it's literally a color-coded guide on a chart that breaks down like, is it safe, is it recommended for as a feeder, is it recommended as a cleaner, is it meant to just be a pet like a rubber ducky? Do you not want to make this a cleaner? Even though there are some people out there who just for views, they will build a beautiful bioactive and go like, I'm making a bioactive for like my tokay gecko and I'm going to put in rubber duckies, and everyone's like, wow, you're rich.
Yeah, we got
like,
Elon Musk over here.
Yeah. So like, but it's also like on recommendation, like what would you not really want to put to have eaten?
Right.
And then there's like a selection of like, what would you not put with like soft-bodied pets like frogs? Like you wouldn't put Porcellio or like dairy cows with frogs because they're probably going to try and nibble on them.
Yeah, they'll beat them up.
Which is a little scary thing to find out if you don't know.
Yeah.
But we try our best, aside from having communication with our customers from the beginning to the end on how to care or how the shipping is going to be and what the perfect way we can get your isopods to you will be, or the most ideal way we can get it to you safely, is that our website is so beginner friendly. Like, we try our best to make it so people are more comfortable and not overwhelmed, because even when bioactives started to become big, people were overwhelmed with the 5 or so species that they weren't sure which to go with at the store. And it's like, now there's so many species that I'm still learning and keeping up with, and I'm like, I can even get overwhelmed sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's, as long as I'm trying to break down to a digestible amount on how to care for them on our website, it helps people feel a little more comfortable that they're not taking a giant risk where they're paying for the shipping. You know, our shipping's not that expensive. It's like $15 cheapest.
Right.
And that's for, like, you know, the ground shipping, especially when it's times of year like this, when it's getting perfect out and you don't have to worry about overnight shipping.
Right.
But you can take advantage of all of that and not feel like you're like, I just threw down like $50 and like, am I going to kill these in 3 days and I just lost all my money?
Yeah.
And on top of that too, like, we have a live arrival guarantee policy on the website that highlights, like, during these temperatures, this is what we can guarantee. During these temperatures, this is what we can guarantee. And if you do have a culture, or you know, they all, or something horrible happens where they all arrive dead on arrival, we have a reship and a refund policy. Like, we'll take care of you and make sure we come up with a resolution that's fair.
Which is
So.
perfect. And
Yeah.
lots of information, and Hot Dog, just for the sake of time, because
Yes.
I have a hard cap at 6:30 because my dog
Yeah.
is an epileptic who needs to get her
no.
pill.
got
That's a different conversation. Do we want to take one question? We got maybe 2-3 minutes, and then we got to part ways with the audience here.
All right, I will grab one question here. Do you currently keep any reptiles, Kristen?
Yes, I did have Torque. That was my black and white Argentine Tegu, but he did pass away like right before New Year's. And the other reptile that I still do have is my zebra carpet python, and she is my 7-foot girl and the sweetest puppy of a snake I've ever had in my life. And she's the only the only reptile that I really have now.
Wow.
And I think we're going to keep it that way for a while because we are expecting in September. So the kid's going to
Oh.
take a lot of focus. So for now, it's a snake.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. We'll let the
That's
kid
awesome.
decide what they want when they get older. You know, he or
Perfect.
she decides, you know, if she wants her first bearded dragon or something.
Of course, of course.
It's going to be like a boa constrictor or something, you know, like kids always
Yeah.
want like something that you're like, bro, do you know how big this kid's?
Kid's going to get sized up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. They're gonna get sized up.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
What are you gonna do?
Ugh. Yeah. Kristen, it has been absolutely incredible having you. I'm so glad that you were able to be. You were number 2 guest, so we thank you so much.
Right
You
after
were-
Slightly Venomous. And
Right
I
after
love
Slightly
her. I
Venomous.
think she's great. She was, by the
Incredible.
way, that was an awesome listen too. Like, I actually listened to it while we were moving out of the apartment.
Yeah.
And moving to the house while we were painting all of our crazy green colors on the apartment off the walls with primer.
Oh.
We actually had that podcast playing on our speaker, and it
That's
was
awesome.
really entertaining for me and my
That's
husband.
Well, I'm so glad we were able to entertain you. I mean, if we can
Yeah.
entertain you through painting, that's the most tedious task I think I could think of.
You
so.
helped get us through it. That and a lot of
Perfect.
Joe Rogan experience podcast.
Yeah, that's what I got into this for. I want to make it easy
Yeah.
for people to paint.
Yep.
Mission accomplished.
Absolutely. Kristen, thank you so much. We appreciate you. This is awesome. You want to tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, all of those things?
Yeah. So on Instagram is Isoflora Isopods. It's the same thing with TikTok, even though I'm not really on there. I promise I'm gonna figure it out. I'm not that old, I promise.
You don't have to. It's fine. We let it die.
On Facebook, we're Isoflora Isopods. And again, like, we have a phone number that's open. It's strictly a work line, and we are open to text all the time. And that number is 201-834-6024.
Perfect. Go follow her for sure. Go buy the porcelain. I can't stress enough, guys. Those will be gone by tomorrow for sure. Hot Doug, where can people find and follow you?
Oh, well, people can find me at Hot Doug on Instagram. That's primarily the only place you can find me. Or here on Unearthed, our podcast that we do every month or so, which is syndicated to everywhere. I think Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Google, all the podcasting universes. You can join us, find us there. Speaking of Unearthed, next month, March 30th, you should join us because we're going to have Zach of Midwest Mantids. Unless you're afraid of him, don't. I mean, maybe you should join.
I'm familiar with them.
You should definitely join.
And so
I should. I'll be in the chat box asking questions to help me with my fear. I'll be there.
Perfect.
So join us on March 30th at 5 p.m. Pacific time for that one. And other than that, Kristen, thank you so much for your time. This is really fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much again for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everyone.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, audience, and everyone for the questions. I'm going to play us out with the Arthropod song.
Perfect.
In case you haven't heard it, it's a song that I wrote with my wife for the Arthropod cages that we sell over at juicesarthropods.com. Check them out if you're interested, and we'll see you on the internet.
Later.
Unpacked my cage last night, delight. $20 from ATM. Man, I'm glad I hit buy on the sweet bug pen. Filled up with dirt and mulch, added a light. Not running out of space. Oh, such a priceless find. And I think it's gonna last a long time. Just can't believe this thing is built so fine. It's not that garbage that you found online. Oh no, no, no. It's an arthropod. Arthropods give my buggy friends a fancy home. And I think it's gonna last a long time. Just can't believe the cage is built so fine. It's not that garbage that you found online. Oh no, no, no. It's an arthropod. Arthropods give my buggy friends a fancy home. Jaws ain't the kind of place to raise a fits. In fact, it's dumb as hell. 'Cause there's nowhere there to raise them. If you did, and all about science, I don't understand. It's Juice's job 5 days a week. And I think it's gonna last a long time. Just can't believe this thing is built so fine. It's not that garbage that you found online. Oh no, no, no. It's an arthropod. Arthropods give my buggy friends a fancy home. And I think it's gonna last a long time. Just can't believe this thing is built so fine. It's not that garbage that you found online. Oh no, no, no. It's an arthropod. Arthropods give my buggy friends a fancy home. And I think it's gonna last a long time. And I think it's gonna last a long time. And I think it's gonna last a long time. And I think it's gonna